Hey guys, Rob with Growcast here, and a little talking seaweed, co-hosting or guest hosting, I guess we can call it. And I'm here with Chappie, the CEO of Bask, voted, was it 2018's best medical cannabis dispensary in the state of Massachusetts?
So we're actually in 2019.
Well, we're in 2019. Yeah. Was it last year's award or?
No, we just got it this week.
Oh,
yeah. Well, actually, I should say Thursday. We got it last Thursday.
Congratulations!
Best of the best.
Best of the best. That's pretty big news.
Yeah, for us here, local, it's definitely big.
Well, I mean, just the fact that cannabis and a cannabis dispensary is included in those best of the best awards.
Definitely
goes a long way to where we've come from.
Yeah, we didn't really expect it. Didn't think there was going to be a category.
Yep.
For a dispensary. Originally, it was going to be put in as shopping, but then they actually made a category for a dispensary.
Yep.
So I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you just took us on an incredible tour of your facility here in Fairhaven, Mass. So thank you for the incredible detail that you provided us. But can you give us just a brief rundown of the overall size and the setup and what you guys do here?
Sure. So this is a co-located dispensary, meaning we have cultivation in here, we have processing and retail. It's about 10,000 square feet. We have 4,000 square feet for retail and patient services, and we have about 6,000 for cultivation and processing.
Okay. So you service all of your patients right here, but you do sell some of your flower and products to other dispensaries throughout the state?
We do. So really, we're probably in a dozen dispensaries right now.
Yep.
But yeah, we do a pretty good wholesaling. For us, patient numbers and town-wise, we're not in the city. So for us to keep moving, we need to be able to wholesale.
So we took a tour of your new facility, and that is going to be pretty much sun-grown with some light deprivation and obviously some supplemental lighting.
Correct.
Talk to us about that transition from your current facility here to the not only larger but a completely different grow style over there.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a game changer for us. It's going to change, a lot of the way we do things. I think for us, at least the systems will be the same. The systems we use here right now are actually what we're going to be using in Freetown. But grown under the natural sun, it's definitely not like growing under high pressure sodium. We will have supplemental lighting because it does like to get pretty gray around here.
Sure.
But definitely we're going to have to change a few things around. Even just the move. I don't think we can actually just open up the greenhouse and let our plants put them in there right away without blocking out some of the sun.
Sure. Tim and I talked earlier about having different cultivars and phenotypes that respond differently to the HPS versus the sun-grown and the supplemental lighting. You as the CEO of Bask and technically the head grower here. What do you anticipate being the problems that you're going to come across when you make that transition?
I'd love to say we're going to have no problems. I think, I've been elevating humidity already.
Yep.
I think that's probably going to be our biggest issue is a little bit on the heat side, but more humidity. I haven't had any botrytis. I haven't had any mold issues. There are some cultivars that we have here that are literally rock solid. So I'm hoping that they can make it in the greenhouse. If not, we'll find some new ones. But some of the ones that we have grown here are actually specifically for greenhouse. Well, we're bred right in the greenhouse too.
Okay.
So I think those are going to do well though. DNA, banana split, bred in the greenhouse for a greenhouse. That's going to do well. Lemon Jeffrey is going to do well. It's wasn't bred in a greenhouse, but I've seen it. So I think the majority of our strains here, I'm thinking they're going to make it.
So Growcast is, really we focus on the home grower. But we do have lots of people that are trying to make that transition to an outdoor or a greenhouse type setting. What are the things that you're going to look for when making the transition from indoors to, greenhouse type setting in those cultivars that might make you pull a strain out and not continue that?
I think, when it comes, veg time, I'm actually kind of wondering about stretch.
Yep.
We have some that actually stretch quite a bit here. When we add that different spectrum in the greenhouse, I have some that I'm close to not being able to keep here. And so I'm hoping that those maybe have a little less stretch over there, but they're probably gonna outgrow what they really need to be.
What was that strain that we saw that was like 8 inches tall, and you said it's going to be 4 feet tall by the time it's done?
That's Ringo's Gift.
Okay.
So it's technically tests as hemp, it's cannabis,
Yeah.
but I called it Stretchosaurus because literally we put it in at 8 inches and it'll grow 4 feet tall.
Yeah, these were like clones that we saw.
Yeah.
And they're going to be massive by the time you're done flowering, or by the time they're done stretching.
Here we're restricted on on headspace.
Yep.
I will say I think we have 16-foot gutters there, so I do have a little extra room, which is going to be nice. But we'll definitely have to change it. Well, actually, trellising. We'll probably end up having a trellis as well. You saw we didn't have any trellising back there.
Right.
So that's probably another change that we'll have to make.
Yeah, we saw lots of plants in 1 gallon pots, and obviously that's very different than any home grower experiences. Home growers are all limited by number of plants that we can grow, not the size of space that we can grow in. But what kind of tips or grow styles can we pull from this type of grow and apply them to a home grower? Because I know you have experience in that type of setting.
Yeah, I started off as a home grower and kind of patient, then caregiver, and then bam, dispensary. But I started off in 3x3 cubes. So I think depending on what you're trying to do as a home grower, kind of dictates how you want to grow. As a home grower, when I first started, like I said, when I was hydro, I was 3x3 cubes. I've grown in 3 gallons, 5 gallons, 10 gallons, 35 gallons, depending on what you're doing with the product. If it's just for myself and my family, but pretty much all the basic fundamentals that you have back here can be put into your home grow. I think the difference is the tagging plants and how to move plants. Everything's in a system, seed to sale tracking. But for the majority, growing a plant is growing a plant. And whether you're at home or you're in a commercial type atmosphere, it's all the same fundamentals.
Well, I think in Rhode Island, even home growers have to pay
They do.
$25 for a plant tag. That seems high to me, but
yeah. So I left, right as they were requiring plant tags. I'm like, all right, see you later.
Right.
But yeah, I believe it's still into play.
Yeah.
And so when I grew in Rhode Island, we had a 24 plant limit.
Yeah.
And we grew 3-pound trees indoors.
Right.
But that's what we were supposed to do.
Right.
I guess I could have grown small ones, but we decided to grow big ones.
Well, I mean, what's the point when you are limited to the number of plants you can grow versus the size of space that you can grow into? There's definitely a balance, I think, but you guys have definitely taken the smaller plant, less veg time. Can you tell me what the sizes of your veg space versus the size of your flower space is?
Sure.
Put that in relation.
So I have about 900 square feet in veg right now, but you can see that we were double tier.
Yep.
So about 1,800, and then on the flower side we're pretty much double that. Kind of standard, mathematics, standard numbers. But I need that to be able to produce continuously every day and move plants every day. So
Now, in the home grow setting, that's typically swapped.
sure.
You need twice as much veg space as you do flower space, because you're vegging them out for a lot longer to get those bigger plants.
Yeah, for us with small plants, I don't need the space. They actually only get transplanted from clone to 1 gallon,
Yep.
and then right into flower with about a 2-week veg. Typically, so when I was in Rhode Island, we would hold the plant for 36 to 40 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And grow large plants.
Yeah.
There's a lot of risk involved in that. We don't have to do that here. With the no plant limit, I feel it helps us keep it a little cleaner.
Yep.
There is pesticide free anyway, but there's less risk of bugs and contamination here.
Sure. So, what's the size of the space that you're going to grow into in your new facility?
So the full footprint of the head house, or the mast, Tim likes to call it.
Yep.
And then the greenhouse. The mast is about 9,000 something square feet, and the greenhouse is like 21,900.
Okay.
So, big difference.
And we talked a little bit earlier. Remind me of the plant count change that you're going to be aiming for.
So, here we have about 10,000 plants at all times between, veg and flower and clone. We're going to have close to about 20,000 plants at all times there.
20,000 plants. Yeah. That's doubling.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
We're going to have a little bit more, spacing on the benches. You can see how close we are here.
Yep.
With the higher humidity, I want to give them a little bit more room, a little more airflow.
Yep.
Also on the benches, perforated benches. Here we have solid benches.
Okay.
Or trays almost.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to the amount of airflow that we can have when any water goes to the ground.
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Now, with that, as far as a grow tip goes, do you expect that to dry out your plants quicker and cause more frequent waterings? Or because they're in bags, maybe not?
Because they're in bags.
Yep.
Right now we do pretty much every third day watering. We're pretty water efficient here.
Yep.
So we use about a liter every third day, which is not a lot of water.
No.
If we need a little bit more there, which we're gonna be running probably a little bit hotter. If we need to, we'll water.
So you're going to be moving to a sun-grown type setup. What are your thoughts about the sustainability of the cannabis industry and switching to that type of market and that type of grow setup, and how important that is to us as a future industry?
I think for me anyway, the only reason I've ever grown indoors is to hide from the police. We don't want to be seen. Let's bring it indoors.
Right.
And I think nothing is grown indoors when it comes to vegetables, unless it's government subsidized. You're getting a grant, or you're getting some money from the feds. And I think it's just natural that you're either going to turn the indoor operation into greenhouse, or you're going to go right outside. It's not sustainable inside. The amount of electricity we use here is completely ridiculous. And guess what? It works right now. With the prices of cannabis, eventually those prices aren't going to be here, and It's going to be a lot thinner margins, and we want to be able to prepare for that, but we also want to be environmentally conscious. I don't want to be responsible, for, the amount of electricity and the fossil fuels that we're using to grow a pound of cannabis.
Right. Yeah, for a typical home grower, you guys have your new facility in Freetown. Mm-hmm. Dialed in.
Sure.
There's so many sensors and controls for that entire unit, but dialing in a space in an indoor garden is typically a whole lot easier for a home grower than to do in a greenhouse or even an outdoor setting. Do you have any tips for a home grower to kind of take that step?
I think it really depends. I guess the first thing would be what your environment is. And try to keep it as clean as possible.
Yep.
I think a lot of grows that I've been to, you got leaf on the ground, you have stuff everywhere. Like the main thing, keep it clean. If you have higher humidity, guess what? You're probably not going to get some mold if you don't have anything to get molded.
Right.
But
more airflow.
Yeah, more airflow. Space-wise, for me it was always harder to grow in a small tent than an open room.
Sure.
So I think if you have a little extra space, helps you out too.
Totally.
So
the last question that we have for you today, and again, thank you for your time and the tour of your facility. We have lots of our listeners are always asking us, how do you get into the industry? What tips do you have for them to take that leap from being a home grower and either coming to work at a place like yours or starting a place in an operation like this?
Don't sleep, eat like crap. It is a lot of work.
Yep.
I think the first part is you need to have a good team. I've always tried to do everything myself.
Yep.
It's not even possible.
Yep.
You need to have a solid
Not on a
foundation.
scale.
No. Even when I was a caregiver, it doesn't work by yourself.
Yep.
You need a team to help you out because there's always going to be some catastrophe. like this morning with the ACs. You know, like if I was doing this, I couldn't go clean that up. You know? But yeah, it's be prepared to work a lot for a little. You know, that's another big thing. It's not as, you know, everybody thinks these cannabis growers, oh, they're printing money. Well, the millions of dollars that you had to borrow because you ran out of money real quick to get to this point, you got to pay that back. You know, so that's an important piece of it. You know, and for me, you know, being able to raise the capital actually might be the most important part of doing the transition. Minus the team, you need to raise capital, and you need to raise more capital than you actually need because something's going to go wrong. The timeline's never going to be the same. You know, how many times I've heard, hey, you know, I'd like to come work for you a little bit, but I'm actually going for my own license right now. I'm like, oh, great.
So I'm going to come learn all your secrets and then apply it at my grow.
And truthfully, I'm way okay with that.
Yep.
You know, and I think, you know, I'm not saying that I'm doing everything the right way or the only way, but maybe they can learn something. I've seen a lot more failures in cultivation than successes. So.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest takeaways from this tour was, like you said, no matter how big you get and how automated you get, the problems never end. So like I always experienced that with my 20 light grow in Maine, that shit, the drum overflowed or a drain got clogged and I had a flood, or I walk in and somehow a plant's on the ground. Like how does that even, like how does a whole plant fall over? Like shit's just bound to happen.
That's great. I had 2 on the ground this morning and I'm like, how did this happen?
How does that, they're not even the heaviest plants in the room and they're on the ground. Like, and you know, it's not like your fans upticked all of a sudden and start blowing high. So, you know, one of my takeaways was no matter how big of an operation that you have to be prepared for those problems. And you know, we're farmers.
Yep.
And you said it many times during the tour, is that you consider yourself to be a farmer. And farmers can address any problem that comes up on their farm.
Yep.
And if they can't address it personally, they know the guy to call to come in and help them with that problem.
Definitely.
So that's part of the team that you were creating, right?
Yeah, no, listen, like everybody's good at something,
Yep.
you know, and like I'm no electrician, I'm no carpenter. You have to learn some of these things. And then if you can't learn it, like you need to have somebody on speed dial that's going to come help you. And most likely a friend of a friend or you know, somebody who's used in the past, you know, because without the right procedures and everything, without all the equipment working correctly, you're not going to be able to, you know, keep a consistent crop. So definitely like a learning experience. I guess on the farmer's note, like, yeah, the farmer needs to know about engines. They need to know how to change the tires and when and why they're turning soil. It's the same thing here. When and why are we planting? When are we filling bags? How do we fix the AC that's peeing all over the floor right now?
Right.
The dehumidifier that's a block of ice.
You got power in half your room and not the other half of the room.
Yeah, we had a lightning strike. You know, like I think what makes you a good farmer too is how you react to those. You know, you can run around and throw wrenches and which I've definitely done plenty of times. But you know, I think, you know, if you take a deep breath, look at the problem, and then attack the problem, you're a lot better off than, you know, like I said, freaking out, getting crazy.
So to loop back to my last question, since this obviously wasn't my last question, what are the skills that our audience should try and obtain or master or, you know, learn in order to make an impact in our industry?
So definitely, and I'm actually tempted to take an HVAC class right now.
Yeah.
Even in Freetown, we still have, you know, HVAC system throughout the building, but that's something that's really important, especially on the indoor grow here. That's, you know, your environment is, you know, besides genetics, is your most important thing, and to be able to fix that is, you know, you'd be the best employee ever.
Fixing it and getting it dialed in.
Exactly.
You know, getting it balanced. You know, in large indoor spaces, you can't necessarily cool all of the area all at the same time.
Yeah. One of our newer employees, you know, he was an electrician. You know, that's another big thing because there's always some electrical problem, or maybe you order something with the wrong plug.
Yep.
You know, and you know, I've tried to splice and do all that stuff for myself,
Yeah.
and I can make it through.
Yeah.
But I'm always thinking that the place is burning down. So it's nice to have somebody else do that.
Sure.
So,
sure.
but HVAC, electrician, labor is another thing. Some people don't want to be head grower, head of cultivation. Like, people want to fill bags. That's another thing. Like, you have to be able to work. You can only watch the plants grow so much. You can only do so much plant maintenance. You need to be able to do the physical work of moving plants, tagging plants. Doesn't need an education. You don't need an education to do that, but you gotta have strong work ethic.
Yep.
And I think if you're coming from home grow or black market, wherever you're coming from, be prepared to work a lot more on the regulated market, because it's really not about growing plants anymore. It's about compliance, safety, and what the whole team's doing.
Farming isn't easy, whether you're farming lettuce or cannabis.
No, not at all. Actually, so I took a class at University of Arizona, and I was telling them how we had to tag our plants, and the farmers were like, "You have to tag your plants? Oh my God, that's so much labor." Guess what? If you get a cantaloupe and somebody dies from it now, they have tagged farms now too. You can figure out where that cantaloupe came from. So that's all stuff that's coming, and it's going to be everywhere.
So as we wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom or advice for our home growers that are listening to us right now?
I guess final advice is, if you want to come into the regulated market, it's great. I feel if you want to work at a dispensary as a home grower, sometimes you need to give up that home grow. Part of the issue is your problems. We don't want them to be our problems. Like, you have powdery mildew at your house. Like, I don't want powdery mildew in our house. So sometimes you have to sacrifice. If you really want to be in the industry and make a career out of it, you might have to give up your home grow to get into a regulated market.
Or don't go into your home grow before you come to work.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like suiting up, stuff
Yep.
like that. Like, for me, like, that's just been normal for many years.
Yep.
Like, if I had a home grow right now, I would be doing the same thing. I'd be suiting up, or I'd have uniforms.
Totally.
I'd have bio pads and foot baths and air curtains, and just going, the whole process, so that I'm not ruining somebody else's grow.
Right.
So,
Cool.
awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank
You
you.
got it.